All right, guys, welcome to Total Disclosure. My name's Ty, and we're back for a amazing show tonight, guys. We're doing a kind of a post-election deal. I figured I was going to do the show last night, but most people said that we wouldn't find out until probably after midnight. And going off of the last election, I figured they're probably right. It turns out that they did call the race. And again, we're doing a special live podcast of Total Disclosure tonight. So we witnessed kind of history in the making as America steps into a new era with Donald J. Trump elected as the 47th president of the United States. The White House, the Senate, and the House will soon stand under one banner. And this is what the people of this great nation have chosen through their votes. Listen, whether we're filled with optimism, concern, or something in between, there's no denying that this is a time, and it has been coming for a while, where we need unity as a country, as a world. This nation standing together instead of red or blue as a human race. Division is what the powers that be want. Distracted. If we're fighting each other, we won't be asking the right questions because we won't have time to. We find ourselves in a world that feels more divided than ever. But this moment right here and now is an opportunity, a chance to come together despite our differences and focus on the common ground that binds us. America has always been strongest when united. And today we need strength more than ever. We need to reach across the aisle, across ideologies, and across perspectives to build something bigger and bolder together. Tonight, I'm joined by former DOD official, Ms. ANJALI. I brought her in pretty quickly there, not to throw you off, but I'm super happy you could join me tonight. I wanted to bring somebody in who's kind of been in the world of DC and in that the machine that is the government. And obviously, I don't think a lot of people were expecting the results to be just what they were.
Oh, they weren't?
Yeah, I don't think that people were expecting such a landslide, but it seems that Trump, to his credit, him and JD Vance, they did do a lot of these podcasts like Rogan, like Sean Ryan, like all, they really got into these 3-4 hour conversations that allowed people to really like understand the policies. Whereas Kamala, yeah, she did the door knocking and she did her rallies. But it was all just, I just think it was too little too late.
I would agree with that. And I think that the American people in general are concerned about the economy. They're concerned about the price of food, the price of real estate, the fact that they can't afford not to have 2 jobs. There are a lot of really big issues that I think people are looking for a significant change, specifically targeting that. And unfortunately, it seems that some have felt that Vice President Harris did not bring the enthusiasm for the right thing that was the biggest concern. Because that strikes right at those basic needs in the hierarchy of needs pyramid, and it strikes a chord for millions of Americans. Too many millions of Americans. So
and I don't. When I started Total Disclosure, I told myself I'd never pigeonhole myself to a subject, and obviously, UFOs, disclosure, and that's my angle. That'll always be my main focus. But I mean, I think this election, the last podcast I did, the 2 podcasts ago, I was with Tim Burchett, and this day and age, I mean, you just can't get away from politics. And I mean, we're at a place where people from both sides of the aisle have recognized the need for transparency, as a desire to know whether we are in fact alone in the universe. And it's been mainly bipartisan. If only more issues could be like this. I think that's what we should be working towards, is a more bipartisan approach. Just and the UAP topic can be an example that really sets a precedent. There's hearings set on November 13th. I'll be going. I booked a ticket and I was invited down by Mr. Burchett, and I'm super excited.
Very
What
good.
what do you think with the results of the election? What do you think the implications are going forward for UFO hearings, the topic of UAP and non-human intelligence?
Well, I think that the chances just increased that he may be looser lipped even than he has been in the past. Precedent has already been set that he will reveal and share with allies and allied interests alike some very highly classified intelligence that includes names of U.S. assets and sources and methodologies. And so I think that there's likely to be two kinds of responses. That I think that we can expect the intelligence community to be scrambling for exactly how they're going to deal with such a loose cannon, and how they are going to craft his specific daily intelligence briefs to prevent him from ever being in a position where he could put in jeopardy an asset or a source or
Right.
other things.
Right. And I definitely understand that that he is a very unconventional person. He
Yes.
is he said some things, he's done some things. I wouldn't, call him I wouldn't call him a saint, right? Um but I what I want to see from this is, instead of more throat grabbing, I think we can all finally understand that, listen, 4 more years, listen, he can't be president ever again, so that's what is fundamentally great about this country, is that in 4 years, voters will have another opportunity to either keep a Republican or choose a Democrat, whoever that may be at the time. God, I hope it's not Joe Biden. I don't know. Just making a little joke. It won't be. But
and we often overlook the power of and importance of the midterm elections that will be coming up in 2 years, that can sway many hearts and minds and highly affect local and state government, and can have a pretty strong effect on who is representing you out in DC. So, we have it set up that way for a purpose, so that it's really a check on what we think of the administration. So if the American people who have just elected President Trump into the White House again begin to lose faith in him, then we'll see a turnover in those people who are up in midterm elections and re-election campaigns. So it's always a signal, and
right.
and so we'll just have to wait a couple of years to see. So
Yeah, and I think I of course, disclosure is obviously a huge topic, right?
Mhm.
But it does definitely sit below what's going on in Russia, Ukraine, what's going on in the Middle East. So those things do need to be addressed. And in your experience, Trump has said that he's going to end it on day one. That is such a exaggeration. It's absurd to think about. But that again, that's like you kind of just got to understand that that's the guy he is. He's going to say that kind of stuff. He's not a politician. Clearly, you're right. He does say things a little loosely. Do you think that? I mean, because if you think about it, we're one bad miscalculation away from something really bad happening.
Something really bad is already happening. It's just not happening in the United States in a way that we recognize it yet.
Right. And we are a little bit sheltered in that sense.
Absolutely.
Even driving to the store today to pick up my medication, it's a simple run for me. And I'm listening to a podcast, and it dawns on me because of what they're talking about, that, I could be in Ukraine right now, and I could be in Israel or Palestine or wherever. Bombs are going off, and that is a daily experience. And we in the United States have never been invaded. Obviously, we've had attacks, and the siloing of information is what gets us into trouble. It seems it happened with Pearl Harbor. It happened with 9/11. I mean, with a president like Donald Trump, of course, the intelligence community is going to, hide things from him because he is a little bit loose-lipped. We can't really afford that kind of siloing of information. We need more transparency. So how do you do that with a gridlock?
Well, we do have the Senate Select Committee on Intelligence, and I think that this is a perfect opportunity for them to really rise to the occasion, and to fulfill the obligations of their mission. And so, we can, I guess we can have checks and balances on them as we see fit, as citizens um, to specifically inquire regarding what what I forgot the topic that we were talking about for one moment, because I know we're talking about UAP but we're talking about the Senate Select Committee on
Yeah.
Intelligence, and I
So yeah, how do we
I'm very
move?
sorry.
How do No, don't worry about it. I do it literally all the time. And people, what sucks is okay. So, rich podcasters like, Sean Ryan, they have producers and they have people that click all the buttons for them. And I get roasted in the comments about like picking my phone up or moving, like clicking a button. And I'm trying to tell them, like, you have to engage, and then, say I wanted to move ANJALI to full screen, I have to click buttons to do that.
Yeah.
So some of us aren't Sean Ryan. We don't have a crew working behind us. So I got to move my hands, and I try to stay engaged. And sometimes I lose my train of thought. It's a human thing. But
Well, I don't have any excuse.
yeah, well, I think so let's, because I've kind of lost it now too. But national security. How do we separate national security from disclosure? Because
That's right.
Yeah.
Well, the Senate Select Committee on Intelligence is, responsible for the oversight and the appropriations of funding for intelligence, for activities and programs. And this would be one of those opportunities for them to rise to the occasion of making sure that the next budget is taking into account the activities that we are hoping we will see disclosed during these upcoming hearings that we have. I believe it's just next week. Is it
9 days
already?
away. 9 days.
Yeah, that's crazy. That's right.
I can't wait. I really truly can't. I mean, I don't know if you've heard, but there's a lot of talk about who may be testifying.
Oh,
And
yeah.
yeah, so,
Mhm.
mark your calendars, everybody.
Who is your irresponsible guess of do you have anyone?
I I do. I think one of my guesses is Tim Gaudette, Rear Admiral Tim Gaudette. He was recently featured in a Darcy Ware film about fast movers. He seems like a guy that if you got him on the stand, he'd be able to portray to the world in a very serious manner, in a well-spoken, he's a very well-spoken guy. I think
Highly credentialed, highly
highly
trusted.
credentialed,
Yes.
yes.
Mhm.
What I'm hoping they don't do is pull Lou Elizondo on the stand. I really,
And why is that?
I'm not against Lou Elizondo, and I want to make that very clear. I just think that for the topic of UAP right now,
You're looking for more. You want more.
yeah.
That's not enough anymore.
Lou, I think did his job, and whether you agree with him or not, whether you agree with his means, methods, sources, whatever,
Sure.
that's that's one thing. But I don't think putting him out on the stand it's gonna move the ball. We need. I mean, when I talked to Tim last, he says, he wants we want to get this thing where we're rolling out material onto the floor, right? And I can't say that. I can't say I disagree because stories are only going to get us so far.
Right.
So
I feel like what is more likely to happen than there being a full government public disclosure, I could see it instead being held within the chambers of the House and Senate. So, in a case like that, the Senate Select Committee on Intelligence would have direct involvement, as would the House Committee. So it's escaping me right now.
but both will
Oversight,
be
House Oversight.
House Oversight Committee.
Thank you.
And both will
Yeah.
be so now the Senate is going to be controlled by the Republicans.
Right.
So a new Senate majority leader, is that how that works?
Yes, exactly. That's will be coming up. It'll be interesting to see how
Now,
this shift in dynamic affects the topic of disclosure. And I think that if we're going to get any kind of disclosure, like I said, I think that it will be tied up in those committees that can have the clearances to have some of the information. And again, it would be on need to know. It wouldn't necessarily, just because there's a program doesn't mean that everyone in the Senate and Congress have the right to have access to that information. They have the right to have access to a limited amount of information that tells them what they need to know, and has to be truthful. Okay, so it's very highly vouched for, and it has to be truthful, but it also has to protect any of our national security interests, and
right.
includes our intelligence interests abroad. So
Let me ask you something. If in your expert opinion, as someone who took an oath for our national security, right?
a couple of times.
Yeah. And um I was gonna backtrack. We can go that way in a minute. But as someone who's taken a national security oath, they talk about these 4K videos that we have. Now, when the Tic Tac video came out, it had all these numbers and stuff on the sides that you see. And I mean, isn't there a way that we can just kind of scrub all that stuff and release just the video? Maybe even if make it hard to distinguish the back. I know that, there's some places that we can't be. Maybe those videos do get kept, but if there's something that is just looking at the sky, you can't tell where it is. There's no possible way to make that connection if we're somewhere we're not supposed to be, and we don't. Is there a way to get these videos out in a manner that doesn't violate national security?
My suspicion, without knowing the details of how they captured this video, is no, you're not going to ever see it. And that is because even though you think that it doesn't reveal anything, it absolutely does reveal quite a bit. It reveals capability. It reveals location. You think that they can't figure it out from the sky, but you'd be very surprised at how quickly and easily they can figure it out from the sky. So if this is classified technology that they've captured this video on, then they will not declassify that.
Right. It's frustrating. It's
It
so
is.
frustrating because if yeah, because we know in most of these like really really good cases where crashes happen, the military's there within seconds, minutes, or whatever. It's always that part of the story. Oh, and then and then there were guns pointed at me all of a sudden. Like, how did they get to these crashes so quick? Well, they're monitoring the air at all times, and I think that we now have the capability of seeing these things. Oh God, did my camera just blow out?
Oh, yeah, but that's cute.
What? Oh no, I hope my camera didn't just, because that was at 100%. This is my good camera. But
Oh,
but so I'll work on fixing that. But
sure.
I'm gonna switch to the web camera for a second. Damn, see, that's the stuff that makes you lose your focus, and
Absolutely.
it ruins my whole train of thought,
Yeah.
and where I was going with this. So when because when the gimbal video comes out, it changes. It comes out with that 2017 New York Times article, right? So those videos plus the article telling of the program in the United States spending money, albeit they got the names mixed up. Probably shouldn't have called it ATIP, and it should have been named OSAP at the time. But again, nickels and dimes. That was a moment in history, but people are now asking, because of Lou Elizondo and his book Imminent, he talks about how they have this 4K video of craft, and it's like, that if they show that in a congressional hearing, and they honest to God say to the American people, listen, we really don't know what that is, can't figure it out, and we're probably not alone, we don't know. Is that really? Did they really think that that's going to cause this much chaos?
Well, I do think that they think that disclosure will cause a certain amount of chaos, but I think that there are different levels of disclosure, and that we are seeing it being rolled slowly out like a carpet. It really is, and it's been a slower process than people who are close to the topic and the field of study would like. But for the vast majority of Americans, this is not something that they're thinking about on a daily basis. This is a new reality that is coming into their life, rather than it being something that is left to science fiction on the movie screens. They're seeing it play out in TikToks and upcoming hearings and wondering what's going to be said. So it's a process, I think, of changing the hearts and minds of the American people and kind of getting them used to it, so that it's not a catastrophic type of event, catastrophic disclosure, like we call it, where everything just comes tumbling down. If we can be a little bit more patient, it was my understanding that the presidential elections were predicted to have been highly debated for the UFO and UAP topic and for NHI, and that didn't happen. And I watched it not happen live, because it was an expectation. There was a plan that was set in place, and I'm not privy to what went wrong, but as you can see, they really did not want this to become a presidential topic. So that that kind of gives you an idea of where the powers that be that hold the keys, where they stand right now on disclosure and how much they're willing to give at a time. And we might just have to take it in smaller bites for a while. Does that answer your question? Oh, I can't hear you.
It does. Sorry, I muted myself when I was trying to fix the camera. No, it does answer the question. Okay. Absolutely. And I think a lot of people, I think a lot of people are feeling a little bit overwhelmed. I think this presidential election, it was a pivotal moment in our history, and it may go down as either a turning point. It could, we could look back and say, wow, we got through it and we came out better. Or it could be a lot worse, right? And I think that is what people's thoughts are. The unknown scares people. Not knowing and not having control, right? Not having control of what's happening in Ukraine and Russia, not having control with Iran, and not having a control with the Middle East and what they're doing. So, honestly, I think people take solace in the idea that if we started hurtling nukes around, that aliens would drop in and save the day. Well, I hate to break it, guys, but I don't think so. I really don't. Or at least we should never fall on that idea and
That's right.
And say that mommy and daddy will get us out of trouble.
Absolutely. No, actually, this is a perfect opportunity for the American people to remember the power of their vote and the power of their voice. And this is an obvious signal to the old state that there is a change that is desired by the majority of American voters. And that they felt that they needed a very drastic change in order for the improvements to be made. And so there's some energy, we've got some kinetic movement at this moment. And so we need to keep that going, and we need to keep having community halls and public discussions, and we need to continue to have conversations with our elected officials so that we don't just fall into the silence of the holidays when we have such great energy right now to address a lot of these topics. That's so I think that I'm sorry, what was that?
I said that's a good point. I'm sorry.
No, it's okay. I didn't mean to wax on, so
but
I'll do it.
That it's no, and you're absolutely right. Like I said, I think in the face of adversity and obstacle, the United States is always better united, right?
That's
and
right.
And people don't see that. Yes, okay, the president has a lot of power. The president, negotiates at the big boy table with the rest of the world's leaders, and interacts with NATO on our behalf. but there's a checks and balances system for a reason. That's why I've always loved this country. And you know, that's why I had such a problem with people relating him to the German leader of World War II, is because like that used to mean something, but now it doesn't, because it's just been thrown around by the mainstream media.
It's been diluted,
Um,
and yeah, I
yes,
believe that.
yes, yeah, and it's a dangerous game because they did try to. I mean, he said I remember when he said that he would not try to persecute Hillary Clinton because it would look bad for the country. And then they turned around and tried to do that to him. I think the Democrats made several moves that were very, very consequential to what is happening today. And that is they're going to need to gain the trust of the people, because right now they're I could assume at an all-time low, as far as people who are, just true blue all the way through, and that's it. But I mean, with UFOs, with everything that's on the table, nuclear war, World War III, right? We're facing all these things all at once. What is your gut telling you about the world going forward? Like what do you think is in store for us? It seems like, because it just seems like whoever, let's say we're, and I hate to cut you off here because I just
You
asked you a
haven't.
question,
Yeah.
but whoever's, if we're in the matrix, if we're in some sort of matrix, I was telling my girlfriend the other day, who are the writers that they got? Because they wrote a hell of a show. Because this thing it's got drama, it's got everything. I mean, it is a wild time to be alive. Elon's catching rockets with robots. I mean,
Did you see the picture of him in his sink in the Oval Office?
yeah, it makes like truly, it's just, I mean, it's bizarro land. That's what it seems like. And the world's on fire. It's flooding. And
Literally.
there's bombs going off. It's getting biblical. What's going on?
Well, it's my understanding that we all signed up for some fireworks, and we're kind of seeing our collective consciousness playing out its manifestation now. We have ignored and left unaddressed some atrocities that have been happening around the world for many decades, and now we're in a situation where we're trying to keep a world war from entering the Western Hemisphere. So I don't mean to just go on and on. I have forgotten your question because I do that.
That's all right. And you can just here, feel free to just go on and on. That's all I do. I literally just go on and on and on. People get so sick of me talking.
See, I don't want to hog.
No, actually they come here usually for the guests, not for me. They hate me for some reason.
Well, no.
No, but I did want to talk about the hearings a little bit more.
Sure.
What are the chances that you can attend?
I'm trying. I'm trying very hard. I've been working on it. There's actually a group of us who have been attempting to see how many seats we could get, and we've all come up with 0. And it's been a little disheartening. Because they're all great people, and I think it would have been fun for the community. And it would have been a great experience for us. I guess I shouldn't be talking about it in the past tense. We still have 9 more days, so who knows what the future holds.
But
I don't know. So I would love
see,
to be
that's
there, but we'll see.
well, even if you know, because they need to put the, and I've addressed this to, because I sent requests to each member that's on going to be on the panel, for 5 to 10 minutes of an interview, because and I've called their offices. I'm still scheduling and setting everything up, but in every request I send, I always say that I think they need to put these hearings in a larger room. They keep seeing that there's a huge demand for people that want to come out and witness this firsthand.
Yeah.
Like, they want to be in the room, not an overflow room, not a whatever room. They want to be in the room. So whatever that takes, they need to figure that out. But I know it's going to be the revelations that people have been talking about. And I don't know, did you hear the term immaculate constellation?
Yeah, I've been trying to understand. So my understanding is that this came up as a response to the New York Times article.
Or
In
some,
is
I
that
don't know. I don't know that so immaculate constellation it came out in a recent article by Michael Schellenberger, and it is he is saying, his source, who is potentially one of these people that may be testifying in front of Congress come the 13th, and we'll find out maybe who it is.
sure?
But that is apparently the name of a legacy UAP crash retrieval program. Now, it does add up when you think about it, because, and I told this to Mr. Burchett, I told this to, if you've ever talked to Diana Pasulka, she has this contact that she talks about in her book, American Cosmic. His name's, she gives him a pseudonym as Tyler. I think we can all deduce who it is by now, but I don't say the name out loud because,
Good.
again, I'm not that person. So this person, Tyler, goes through this amazing experience. He's part of NASA, like mission control, like very deep in NASA. And he talks about all the esoteric stuff, down from the mission names to some of the rituals that were performed, really weird stuff in connection to launches. And then you go all the way back to Operation Paperclip, forgiving Werner von Braun and the fucking atrocities that I mean, I know that it's going to be a hard position under Adolf Hitler. I can't imagine anybody wanting to say no to that guy without understanding that your whole family is going to be murdered if you say no, especially if you're someone like Werner von Braun, who is the only person who can make the Saturn V rocket, right? Because if I can't have the technology, nobody can, and he's going to kill you. So you have like this little tiny shred of like, I kind of feel for you, Werner, but also 20,000 slaves died in the making of that. Jewish slaves. We can't not, like, that. That is a real fact, right? And I think Operation Paperclip, to me, it's like dirty. It's like playing with dirty money, but whatever. It launched the modern day space program. But Tyler talks about these crashes of UFOs. Apparently, this team that he's knowledgeable of called them gifts. Now, what do you hear when you hear immaculate constellation? A gift from the heavens, maybe? I mean, it kind of correlates, right? So, and it would fill in a lot of gaps. It's I've been going down this really weird rabbit hole lately with this whole thing, because if Tyler is and Tyler is reputable. Her source is reputable. Gary Nolan and her have vouched, and we pretty much know who this guy is and can look at his credentials, and he is who he says he is, and he's my God. But like I said, he says they call these UFO crashes gifts. An immaculate constellation, it has ties to biblical. It has that biblical kind of feel to it, and then it, constellation from the skies, right? So again, we have this like heaven meeting earth, right? This exchange. And I can't help but notice the trend. Does that sound, weird to you?
It all sounds incredibly weird.
Like, imagine.
I mean, doesn't it? I mean, it's crazy, but does that mean that it isn't true? Well, not necessarily.
No,
A lot
I
of
don't
things
think.
that are that sound very weird.
I think the evidence. I mean, I personally think the evidence all, like, kind of like what Michio Kaku says. The burden of proof is kind of shifted to the non-believer at this point, the person who doesn't think there's a phenomena, because we have our evidence, overwhelming evidence, that there is at least something going on that we do not understand how it does what it does. And the government is albeit come out and confirm this. I don't. So from, like, it's just about making the jump from saying we don't know what it is to it's definitely not us, meaning it's non-human.
Right.
And it's almost like they're leading us to water and just, expecting us to drink, but
Yeah.
not realizing that we're still apparently pretty stupid.
I don't think that. I
know,
think
I know.
that we're pretty skittish, and we're prone to being, I'd say we're fear prone. We have a tendency to be fearful of things that we're very unfamiliar with, and I'm starting to question whether or not the phenomena as a whole, the non-human intelligence as a whole, it really may mimic, it may, I don't want to say mimic, but I guess I am saying that they have avatars or appear in forms that are mimicking other things. So
Right.
rather than being an 8-foot mantis, was it mimicking an 8-foot mantis? And does that make sense?
To give your mind, because even though it's an 8-foot mantis, that still registers in your head as an 8-foot mantis. You can put words to it. What you can't put words to is a ball of light that, it comes into the room.
That's right.
And then sucks you up or something, does, brings you, does whatever it does,
That's right.
brings.
Or you just you have missing time and you're really not sure exactly what's going on. You just kind of feel foggy brained and
Right. Actually, the case of John Yost comes up to me a lot in this scenario.
Oh yeah.
Of at least screen memories, because he always told everyone that he saw Ultraman, and that's a cartoon character. But it wasn't until he was regressed that he found it was a mantis being. Or
Interesting.
So it almost seems like it's a double one there.
Yeah.
Right? It's layered itself that
Yep.
even in regression, it's still masked.
Yeah. There's an
right?
avatar. There. Yeah. There's still a representation, a some depiction that they've chosen.
Yes.
To reflect, I guess.
And that could also explain the classic archetypal alien. We understand it now. We we all recognize it pretty much uniformly across the world. You put up a picture of a big head and big black eyes, like we got. Oh, I have it right there. You put that picture up, and then no matter what language or what person you're talking to, they know exactly that you're talking about an alien gray, the archetypal alien. So, could it that I think that is something that is absolutely, why wouldn't it be at play, at least to some degree, with some of these beings? And imagine, okay, if you were in a room right now with the beings, whatever beings, I know, I know you've been talking about your story lately, and there's been some changes, at least from your hindsight. I don't want to go too far into it because I know you've already done it, and I don't feel the need to. But if you were in the room with this, these non-human intelligence, what would be one of the first questions you ask now, if you could?
That's what I was going to say, is that I don't remember being in a state of mind where I was really asking anything. I was in a state of receiving constantly. So I was on the receiving end. They were definitely on the active end. So they were physically working on my body, and they were speaking to me at the same time, and trying to like awaken my consciousness, and explaining the situation. And I don't know if I was ever intended to remember it in the way that I did. Um, but I have extremely tactile memories of being not only in their presence, but of details that I know what I experienced. And I went into a tunnel, and it wasn't, I, you know, I don't think that I can ever be convinced that it was um, all a some kind of concoction, some kind of side effect. Definitely not just cannabis.
Yeah, no,
You
no, no.
know,
This is cannabis. This is rosin oil.
yeah.
I've smoked it the entire time that we've been on the show.
Okay.
Not once have I entered a tunnel.
Right.
Not
And
this
see,
time.
exactly. And see, that's and there are details. And I'm not saying that the property owners, we are going to go down this tunnel just a little bit, but,
Right.
I'm not saying that the property owners, did uh, anything,
Erroneous.
wrong, necessarily. I don't. Um, I just happen to remember a tunnel being on their property where I know today there is no tunnel. And
Right.
I'm going
And
to be spending the rest of my life trying to understand how I could have experienced how I could have actually experienced in a physical reality being in that tunnel, and yet where I am today there is not a tunnel that's
I know,
accessible.
I
That's
know,
the rest of my life. I will be looking for that scientific explanation that I can present.
well, I know of one way.
Okay, let's
I
hear it.
know one,
Lay it on me.
I know one way. And I'm not bringing drugs into this, but I'm bringing the idea into it that, okay, because the only time, and actually, you know what? This is a synchronicity, which I am going to write in my synchronicity log that I have
Oh,
now.
very good. Oh, I love
I've
that
been,
you have a log. That's
yes,
great.
I've been logging all my synchronicities, and
Awesome.
I swear to whatever is out there, it's like I'm having a conversation. with something. The
You
answers, when you look at them in a row, it's like a story's being told to me.
That's amazing.
It's so
You should
weird.
explore
But
that.
well, this is one of them. This is very weird because now when I did DMT, and I'm not saying that you did DMT, but what I'm
Sure.
saying is the effects of a chemical like DMT gives pretty much uniformly to everyone who smokes it a similar experience. And it is like you're in a tunnel. It's like you're in a tunnel and I met a being who had no face. And many of people call them machine elves.
Yeah, but I've seen their depictions. Did your
So
tunnel look like a real tunnel? That's what I
ANJALI,
want.
so I guess what I'm saying is, what if these beings have we always hear about them altering our state of consciousness in some form or fashion in some sort of experience. What
Sure.
if they were able why is it such a stretch to think that your experience wasn't it was when I did DMT, it was more real than real.
Right.
And the being I met, I'm convinced that being is a literal ethereal being of some sort that is
I'm
on a
quite
level
sure.
above, right? So it's just,
Yes.
who's to say that you didn't just gain access and just perceive it the way that you perceived it because of your preset environment, conditions, and mindset, right?
Okay. Here's a good question for you then, Ty. What were you doing, your actual physical body? What was it doing while you were on DMT?
I was so me, it was me and two others, and we went into a field and we created a triangle, and we each
Cool.
had and we kind of counted down, all took a hit, and before you even come off the pipe, before you exhale, boom, you're not here. This microphone, you're not here anymore.
Did it look like a normal field still, or did it look like a different place?
Oh, it was a different place. I mean, but it was familiar enough.
Okay.
It was so all I'm saying is, because DMT is naturally occurring in the body, and if these ETs or if they wanted a way and needed a way to communicate with us, if that's how they tap into our brain, right, and open it up, somehow,
Yeah.
that wouldn't shock me. Gary Nolan's doing work that says that there's a part of the brain specifically that in experiencers seems to be different. So, is that the part that, I'm putting together pieces of a puzzle. I'm still not quite there, but it wouldn't surprise me if because shamans talk about ayahuasca and the journeys that you go on, the mystical journeys. What you experienced sounds like one of those experiences, just framed in a little bit different of a way. And maybe, and I don't know how you accessed it the way you did, but I mean, I cannot sit here in this chair, having seen the things I've seen and done the things I've done, and tell you that you didn't see what you saw. That's
right.
I can't.
So, Ty, do you think would I have been physically able to be walking around having a conversation?
Yes, absolutely.
Yes.
Absolutely. Yeah. Cause I actually
With
thought that,
police?
when I walked up to the being, I actually kind of thought he was a dick, in my head. I was thinking, because and no words were spoken, mind you, no words were spoken, but I got the feeling that I wasn't supposed to be there. Like I left my body untethered, like like I had shot out of it astrally or something, and maybe demon possession. I don't know if is that how it works? You're gone for a couple seconds doing DMT. Goddamn demon takes your body because it's soulless. I don't
I don't
I don't
think
know how.
so.
No,
I
I'm
don't
just
think so.
I'm joking with that one.
Okay,
That was
good.
that, but it felt when I looked at whatever it was, because it didn't have a face. It was just a dark hole, and it was like I was looking into the abyss. Um, it gave me the feeling that I was out of place. I shouldn't be there now at this time. And then I remember thinking, "Oh, really? Like that's it?" And taking 1, 2, 3, maybe 4 or 5 steps, and then I snap back into my body and kind of snap forward and back. And then I'm back in this reality, if you want to call it that. It was the most wild experience I've ever had, and I did it 4 more times to see if it was real, and it's real.
That's amazing.
So all I'm saying is,
Well, I would like to do DMT so that I can compare. And then, and I'll tell you honestly, when I
yeah.
have the opportunity to do that, I will compare the two.
Well, we could talk off air. I can help you out there.
Cut.
Yeah, cut. All the advertisers literally just pulled out. No, but I think it's something that it was on the ballot in Massachusetts, legalizing mushrooms, psilocybin. I mean, who would have thought on the same ballot I'm getting rid of the MCAS. I have the option to get rid of standardized testing in schools. I also have to vote for the president. And then there's a question about legalizing psilocybin. If you would have told me that when I was 20, I would have laughed so fucking hard at the thought of even marijuana being legal, let alone psilocybin. It didn't pass because the law was very, very vague, but they're going to tighten that one up, and they're going to get that one through.
Yeah, midterms.
Yeah. So they'll tighten. I even looked at the law and was like, guys, I think we left some words out of this one. This is really vague, right? Like this is a little bit too vague. So but it's definitely a crazy election. And
Yes.
I just want people to realize that it's not the end of the world. Not yet. Not yet. And I know that you'll spend the rest of your life searching for answers just like I will. But
And
again,
make no mistake, Ty. I'm going to interject real quick since you just said that again. I still have communication with the beings, so this wasn't a situation where I returned to the property, did not locate a tunnel, and stopped having conscious communication with the beings. No, that still exists, and so I have a lot on my plate that I'm trying to deal with. And yeah, I guess
well,
I don't really know what to say. It you know I
well,
reflect back on it often, and I'm definitely on a search for myself, to understand what my relationship is and why I have this relationship, um, and that includes sorting through different things that they have said to me, and I don't. I may repeat what they say, but I don't always ingest it. I don't always make it a part of me. Sometimes I just share what they say. Not everything is meant for me anyway. Um, and so, it's a complicated relationship. It's not that they never deceived me. They did tell me that there was a possibility, um, that when I returned that they would not be there, and I was very fearful of that as time went on. Um, and I don't know why that would be. I don't That's another thing that I'm searching for answers regarding is, why would it matter? This artificial construct of time passing that, we experience in a linear way, what would change over that period of time that would cause, one year it's there and then another year it isn't? Like, what occurs during that period of time?
Can I?
How And I mean spatially,
Yeah.
and maybe even all the way down to the quantum level. Like, what's happening? Um, and I have some really wild and irresponsible theories that I'm exploring. Um,
I uh
so,
I have a story that I haven't shared. I don't think ever,
mm,
ever.
ooh, please tell.
And I guess maybe I didn't share it because it does sound so kind of wild. But I grew up next to a haunted road. A lot of people know that listen to the show that I'm making a movie that connects that haunted road to Salem, Massachusetts, and to the Bridgewater Triangle. And there's a larger mystery at
Oh,
play here.
wonderful. Wonderful.
Yes, but
Congratulations. Good luck.
on that road, there the legend is that there were nuns and they were sneaking out of the convent on the road, or the retreat, and they were there was a group of them practicing satanic magic or rituals. They ended up getting caught, and they were hanged for. I mean, it's the ultimate treason. You're married to God, and you're caught, practicing.
Yeah.
Not
Fornicating with the devil.
Yeah, it's the ultimate crime.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
the church made an example of them, but their ghosts are said to haunt the road to this day.
Mm.
I've as soon as I caught wind of this legend, because it is something that is talked about in my, or was talked about in my house for many, many years. Every family meetup like Thanksgiving, my grandfather would bring it up, or someone would bring it up. But we lived, that's how close we lived to it. Like, literally,
Yeah.
I could throw it with a tennis ball. Now, I also had my UFO sighting outside that house. So
You never know.
that area is very interesting. But me and two other friends who can confirm it, and while I was working on the film, a lot of these memories came back to me about how many times I actually went into the woods looking and exploring and trying to find truth to whatever. And my friend Nick Santoro, who now lives in Maine, I was talking to him about the movie, and he goes, "Remember when we," and he brings up this story. And I'm like, "No." Oh my God, I do. So
Cute.
we were exploring the woods, and we came upon this house. And
interesting.
it was decrepit. Like the house was decrepit. It was like a
Abandoned.
shack. Yeah, it was like a shack. It was so out of place. It was in the middle of the woods. It had no place being where it was. The trees that were next to it were like on top of it. It was all everything was bent around. And we went inside of it, and I have no memory of this cabin. He does. I don't. And but I know what he's talking about.
Why do you think that is?
That's my question. And that's why, for me, that's just a story, right? Because I remember he's like, "Yeah, that's the night that we jumped out in front of we jumped out of the woods, because we wanted to scare our other buddy Joey, who had gone and got the car, and he was coming around the corner. We jumped out to freak him out." But he explains the whole night. and we went in. I've went back. There's no cabin.
Mhm.
There's
That's
no
very
there's
strange. And
there's
you're
no
certain
cabin.
that you came back to the same place?
There's only so much woods. I've scoured.
Yeah.
I've scoured.
Yeah.
Um, so I don't know.
Ooh.
I don't find your story as crazy as people think.
Yeah.
Because again, I've myself had some pretty odd things happen. And this one hit me home because I didn't remember it. I,
Until he brought it up?
until
Or
he brought it
and
up.
then you're like, "Oh my god, that's right. Completely forgot about that."
All of it started coming together. And I'm like,
Yeah.
so and then and that's not the only memory that's come back. Other memories have come back. Not good ones. Not good
Mm.
ones. Like, my mom is gone.
Paranormal?
No,
Oh.
just like I came home to I probably shouldn't say this on air, but I was very young and I walked in on my mother because my father had been sent to prison, and I walked in on my mom and she was trying to exit the world.
I
Um,
see.
and I I was only maybe 8 or 9,
Mm.
10. I don't really remember, but I repressed that memory. And
Mm.
a sponsor of the show, BioMind, they have this amazing nootropic. It's a 9-in-1 supplement.
Mhm.
Ever since I've been taking that and changing my diet, these memories are coming back, and they come back in droves,
Wow.
but they're not always good.
They're not always
See,
good, right.
there's shit like that, like baggage that
Mhm.
because I was an alcoholic. It's
Mm.
kind of all starting to make sense,
Right.
is what I'm saying. The path that I was
Yeah.
put on.
And you have to unravel that. You've got to unravel those memories and and face up to it and detach from it, take that energy back from it, um, so that you don't have to carry it forward,
Yeah,
essentially, you
yeah.
know?
And I love my mother, and I love,
Of course.
I was overwhelmed. But remember that, it was in her room when she passed away that I saw her
Yeah,
essentially leave this world as an orb.
yeah,
Like I watched this happen with my own eyes, and I am the biggest skeptic. I mean, my girlfriend knows. Anyone who was on this recent movie with me knows. We went to all these paranormal places like Salem, and
yeah,
like it doesn't phase me if something isn't living up to what I think it's cracked up to be.
sure.
Like I tell it for what it is, and there were nights
It's a
in Bridgewater.
snake. Yeah.
Yeah, no,
Yeah.
there were people on the team that were like, "Oh, lean into it." I was like, "No, no, that's not what
Mm,
we're about." Like I'm
yeah,
telling the truth, so
yeah,
I am not
yeah,
quick. But I
good.
saw I saw this just ball of like I said, it looked like light was bending around it almost. But it
Mhm.
like if you've ever looked down a long highway in the heat like that,
Yep,
you know,
the heat mirage.
that distortion, it was like a ball of that, and it just left the room. And then when I looked back, she was gone. Her essence was no longer in her body.
Wow, that's
And
amazing. What color?
and what do you mean?
Color? Was there
Of
a color? A
no,
sheen to it or anything?
Uh, no, because like I said,
No.
it looked like light
It
was
just
bending around it. Maybe
okay.
it, but again, I think my mind perceived whatever it it might not have been the fullest representation
Mhm,
of it,
mhm.
but it was something that I still have I'm having trouble putting the words together now, and I've
I
told the
see that.
story a million times.
Oh, it's
It,
okay.
but it was a clear orb. It was
Yeah.
perfectly circular, about maybe two handfuls,
Mhm.
like big,
Okay. Yep.
like that.
Sure. Okay.
And when one moment she was there, the then the thing went out the
Uh,
window. Then when I looked back, she was gone. Now 1 + 1 = 2.
that's right.
I saw what I saw. I don't know. I just, I'm at
I
a
you
so
know what you saw. Yeah.
I just now, but she set me on a quest because at that time I was doubting myself. I didn't want to do the podcast anymore. But it was at
Mhm.
that moment that total disclosure was born. And,
Wow.
I've been, and that's led
Beautiful.
leading me to DC on the 13th, which
Ah,
I'll be documenting everything because I feel that's, that
yeah.
I've found my role for disclosure is this outlet. This is what I can
Excellent.
contribute. So I
I like it.
found my place. Have you? And that's to the audience, not to you, but to the audience. If you're in this community, stop just talking on Twitter. Find something that you can do to actually contribute and do it. It's that simple. And Anjali, you do your part.
Absolutely.
I think your quest for answers uh, is one that it's complicated.
It is complicated, and it's not for the faint of heart either,
No,
you
and
know?
and especially with what you're going through, you know, uh, uh, with everything. Because remember, you know,
Yeah.
I think sometimes people forget that you're human and you have human problems that are going on
Yeah.
um, right alongside this.
Yeah.
Just
Absolutely.
like it's and it's hard. It's hard. So just know that I respect you as a human being.
Oh, thank you.
And I know
Likewise.
that at the end of the day, if we come into this world, yes, we come into this world through our mother and our father, right? But we come into this world alone. And one day we're going to be looking back at it alone. So we have ourselves to answer to. And frankly, my job is to facilitate conversations and to platform
That's right.
people. So
Yeah, it
um
was great talking tonight. Really
yeah, and
appreciate it.
again, so if you're in DC, you gotta let me know
I
because
will. I'll definitely let you know. Keep you on my list of people that I have to tell if I'm going.
yeah, well
So I'm working on it.
I will make my way to you if needed, um,
Okay.
because I'll be there for 3-4 days. So
Okay.
I got plenty of time.
Excellent.
I can't wait. It's going to be exciting.
Very exciting.
I for me, this is something I've never experienced before. I've never gone to a congressional hearing. Like
Mhm.
it's weird for me to even say that, but I didn't even go on my 8th grade trip to Washington. Well, partly because my mom we didn't have a lot of money, but the other
Sure.
part was because I didn't care to.
Yeah.
I didn't care to. But yeah, it's very interesting because now I'm like
Look at you.
I've never been so excited to do something.
That's
So
wonderful.
yeah,
What
and
a journey you're on,
yeah,
and what a beautiful way to transform the experience of your mother's passing into, a it was a life-changing moment for you, and it puts you on the path that you're on now, and how that was her last act in this world, Ty. The last
abs
thing that she did for you, you
was show
know,
me the light. And
is show
actually,
you the light.
that
Goodness gracious.
it's funny that you say that because I just quit my day job.
Congratulations.
I put my 2 weeks in. I didn't just quit and like leave them,
Sure,
but
sure.
I was driving home and I asked because my mother's ashes hang in the cars, kind of like you know how people hang things off the rearview mirror.
Yeah,
So I have my
a
necklace that
little
has her
vial.
yeah, it's there, and
Mhm.
I always whenever I want an answer or something, or whenever I want to talk to her, I grab it and close my eyes for a second and just ask. So this time I asked him, am I on the right path? And then 10 minutes later, this streaking light comes over the car, and it could have just been
What?
a meteor. Yeah, it could have been a meteor, but
Was it during the showers recently?
it was 5 days ago. I could look it up.
Okay.
So
Okay.
it could have been. I'm just
Okay.
saying, you
Yeah.
know, whatever it was, it could have been something more interesting, but I didn't get a good look at it. But it was a streak, like boom, right. It was going forward. It didn't come back over me. It went over me. So what I took from it is keep on trucking, right?
Yeah. You're
Keep
on the
that.
right track. It's
So
literally it left a track in the sky for you. Woo!
yeah, Dr. Irina Scott was like, "Oh, that was pretty quick. It only took 10 minutes for an answer." You know,
Yeah. Yeah. Your
uh,
mother loves you.
yeah, and it's been quite it's been interesting lately, to say the least. And I think more people should get more engaged and do more. Even what contact MUFON and go out and uh, uh, do cases or whatever. Find a passion, because it makes being a part of the community that much more fun when you can
Yeah.
contribute something.
Read a book on consciousness. Watch
Yeah,
a documentary on consciousness. You
actually,
know,
one of my
Google time isn't real.
yeah. One of my favorite documentaries that you're in is Constant Contact, and it's
Oh,
by Dockside Media. And
yes.
that was the first time I had ever seen you, was in
Okay.
that film.
Okay.
Um, so that they do a great job talking about consciousness in that film. So check that out. A little plug for you, I guess, because
Yep.
they they
Oh,
kind of
no, for
circled.
Tyler. For the
Yeah,
other Tyler.
yeah, for the other
Yeah.
Tyler.
Yeah.
But with us barreling down the road to December hearings,
Yes.
again, I'm going to ask you, what's your gut telling you? Because I've talked to people and they all seem to think that there's a wave coming, or not literally, maybe literally, but
Right.
metaphorically. So what is your gut telling you? What is your contact telling you?
Well, my gut is telling me that that we may have some pretty big names that come forward next week. We may be surprised at some of the people who testify over those. What is it going to be, 2 or 3 days? I can't remember. Is it 13th, 14th, 15th? I think.
I
Uh,
don't, there's rumors there's going to be multiple. The
yeah,
main one is on the 13th
right.
at 11:30.
Some of them may be closed, so they may be scheduled hearing dates on the calendar, but for a closed session, I'm just pontificating now. I don't really know,
Right,
but
right.
um, so it'll give us a snapshot of where we're at, and it can set the tone for the um, Senate Select Committee on Intelligence to dig deeper into where those billions of dollars have been going, and for how long they've been going there, and what they're funding. And again, I don't think that we're ever going to get the whole story. We may get the skeleton instead of the whole body. And we might just have to deal with that. Meaning that if the ways in which they have gathered some of this information, or intelligence, or technology is through classified means, and they want to protect their sources and their capabilities, then they will not release any of that particular information. So you would end up with, either at best highly redacted um, reports, that really don't tell you very much, or you could end up with uh, I to be honest, I kind of lost my train of thought. I looked at the time, and And I just thought,
Don't
"Oh
worry
my
about it.
gosh, I've
Don't worry
been
about
up
it.
for like 15 hours. It's been a long day. It's been
I
a long day."
it has been a long day.
Yeah.
Well,
But I
so
think we can, we can expect, that we're gonna have a few surprises, and I'm not trying to, play it safe in predictions. It's just that, I have been on multiple occasions assured by insiders that something was going to come to fruition, in a
Yep.
particular way, and because that thing was, I want to say, could have such a powerful influence. It was suppressed and delayed, suppressed and delayed, suppressed and delayed, and so I
Right.
don't think that we're going to have the big shebang that we're hoping, but we may have confirmation that there, have been contact with either off-world civilizations or, with, submersive
Mm.
civilizations, ancient retrieve technology. There's a lot of options that are on the table, that they can point to without telling us the big stuff that we really want to know. So,
Right, right. That's actually that was very well said.
oh,
And
thanks.
yeah, that's pretty on point. And I think as long as we remain committed and maintain the pressure and keep this whole status quo of the bipartisan nature of the topic, keep pushing and maintaining that pressure on our congressmen and our senators and the people who represent us, that making it known that this issue is something that we will not go down quietly into the night. We will not stop asking for answers on this until they at least come as clean as they can. And I think for most of us, we understand that we are going to have to meet the military industrial complex halfway on some of this stuff. I mean, we're going to have to provide amnesty for people. We look at the JFK file, right? And there's maybe one person alive that in that file, some information could come out and
Right.
it could implement this one person. And that's why they've put more secrecy on it for the next, whatever, 70 years. That's what Trump alluded to on the Rogan podcast, at least,
Mm.
because he's going to let
Right.
RFK Jr. go wild and investigate this. And he said that, uh, most of the people are dead. Why? It's just, and again, I only relate the two because it's the stuff from the past. There's no one alive. Like, okay,
Redact the living.
yes,
Redact it.
yeah, redact that. I get it. You need to keep these people alive. You need to keep them safe. And there's one thing about the UFO community I think that we can all admit is they are savage. And,
Oh, absolutely.
so if there are living people out there, maybe, keep them out of it. But give us the information, because not only do we pay for it, but we're also paying for the secrecy to be put on us. And it's
That's
time.
right.
We've had our full share of that bullshit. So,
And it belongs to us. I mean, point blank,
exactly. Exactly. Yes.
it's ours now. It's fallen into the time that I think that most people could agree it's time to unseal that. Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah.
It's time to, and I think, I think that, I
We'll
I
see
don't
what
know.
happens.
We'll see yeah. You know what? We'll see
That's
what
all we can
happens at
do.
the hearings. But
That's right.
I was told that expect, because if we can get enough people to it, I think there's enough people in the world that, I mean, if you surveyed 100 people, 99 of them would say that there's more intelligent life in the universe.
Mhm.
And to think that we're alone is absurd. It's a numbers
Yes.
game. Just even if you're playing just a numbers game, you're not religious. It's kind of absurd to think that we're the only game in town. So again, I'm really excited to see what is unveiled, and where can people find you on social media so they can continue following the work that you're doing and what you're saying, and the events you're
Sure.
attending?
The best place to find me is always on x.com at Anjali on Gaia. Yep.
Heyo. I love it. I love it.
Yeah.
So
Thank you.
thank you so much for
This
being
was
here.
fun. Yeah,
Yeah,
it was
this was,
great to talk again. So it's good to see
as
you, Ty.
as always, it's so wonderful. And again, I'd love the chance. If you are there, like I said,
I will definitely let you know. Don't worry.
but the plan is to start being able to fly guests in or
Ooh,
go to them by,
excellent.
I'd say, mid 2025. So
Wonderful. That's
you know,
right around the corner. It'll be here before you know it.
yeah, to be a blink of an eye. So
Yeah.
so
Oh,
we'll
exciting.
put you on the list for an in-person
Thank you.
chat, no matter what. All right.
Thanks.
So
I appreciate it.
keep
Thank you.
fighting the good fight.
You too.
And to
Peace,
everyone else,
brother.
yes, to everyone else out there in the UFO sphere, if you want to call it that, the phenomena, I like to say that because it encapsulates everything: the supernatural, the paranormal, the interdimensional, all the dimensionals, all of it, all of it. So if you're into all that, then you're in the right place, guys. Make sure to like, share, subscribe, and if you're listening on a great podcast platform or our website, which is now all linked below for your convenience, please leave a review, written 5 stars, 4 stars, whatever you think the show is absolutely worth to you. It really helps us get it to a wider audience. You can also become a member on YouTube or Patreon and help support the show and get me to be able to do more things like this DC trip and flying guests in and having this better content and this better platform and this more engaging kind of relationship. So with that being said, we'll catch you on the flip side. See, again, I have to hit a button because I don't have a producer.